Right folks, good morning and welcome back to the channel. I want to have a little chat with you today, see what you think about this. As a car driver or a bike rider, let's say for example you're a car driver, you're out in your car and you come across a car that appears to be broken down at the side of the road. Do we stop and inquire and help the person out? I think the honest answer there is probably no, we don't. But if we're out on our bike and we see another biker that appears to be broken down at the side of the road, then yeah, I think we do, don't we? We're just that type of people that we would just naturally, out of kindness and helpfulness, would just stop, inquire, check that somebody's alright, see if they need any help, and if they did need some assistance, I'm sure we'd go out of our way, or certainly the majority of bikers or motorcyclists would, they'd go out of the way to actually help this individual, help the person who'd broken down as much as they could. So that brings me on to a little situation. Earlier this year I was up in Northumberland. Let me just get through here if I can before these lights change. Just made it. So yeah, earlier this year I was up in Northumberland on this bike, my 701, and I was doing a bit of a trail there, Kielder Forest Drive trail. Relatively tame, we all know that, but anyway, I enjoy the trail. So I was doing the trail there, and I got from the castle end to the far end, and I thought, right, I'll come back and stop halfway, get my drone out, do a bit of filming and whatever else. So that's exactly what I did. I pulled over, got the drone out, flew it around a little bit, got back on the bike, and I thought, oh, back end's a bit squidgy. So I thought, I wonder why that is. So I got off, I had a look at the back tyre, and it was very soft. Thought, definitely shouldn't be that soft. Looks like I've got a puncture. Hopefully it'll get me to the end of the trail, because I was only about 3 miles into it from the far end, and it's 12 miles long, so I've still got a good 8 or 9 miles to go to get back to the castle, which is like where you've got shop and toilets and other facilities there. So anyway, I thought, bugger, right, okay, I've got a bit of a puncture. It's obviously very slow because it's still partially inflated. It was probably about 60% inflated. So I got on the bike and just took it steady, sort of like 10 miles an hour, give or take. But unfortunately, within a few meters, back end was just going literally, it was almost overtaking front end at bike. So I got off at bike again, had a look at it, and it was totally flat, absolutely flat as a pancake. But obviously the tube tyres in there, so I thought, right, obviously puncture in the tube, tyre looks in good nick, can't see anything in the tyre, can't see what the drama is. I thought, well, there's no point me trying to do anything with it here. I'll just struggle with it as best as I can until I get back to the castle end, and then I can evaluate it properly. So I'm crawling along at about 5 miles an hour, with my feet out either side to act as like a balance should the bike tip over, because it was literally quite severe. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I'd got a load of luggage. I'd got my Moscow Motor Reckless 80 system on the back, because I'd just been doing a bit of camping the night before. So I'd got sleeping bag, camping equipment, stove, all that type of stuff, and some clothing. So I possibly had 30 or 40 kilos, something of that nature, on the back of the bike, and that doesn't help obviously when you've got a bit of a puncture. So anyway, I'm straddling the bike, crawling along, and I hear this bike coming up behind me, and this chap, Kevin he was called, found out his name, Kevin. So Kevin comes up behind me on his KTM 1190, and he pulls up alongside me, and he stops, and he says to me, he says, "You've got a puncture." I says, "Yes, I know." He says, "I wondered why you were going so slow with your feet out like that." So we had a bit of a laugh about it anyway, and he just said to me very kindly, he says, "I'll tell you what, mate," he says, "I'll ride with you just to make sure you get back to the castle properly, make sure you get back to the other end of the trail." And I said, "Well, you sure?" I said, "I don't want to ruin your ride out, I says, "You've come out for a nice ride on a pleasant day," I think it was a Sunday, pleasant Sunday afternoon, whatever. I says, "I don't want to ruin your ride." And he says, "No," he says, "there's no way I'm going to leave you stranded." So obviously that was very much appreciated. I thanked him profusely, and let's get past this wagon. So yeah, true to his word, he just rode with me, and we just sort of crawled along at sort of between 5 and 10 miles an hour, which was very painstaking progress, but it had to be done. And then he obviously saw I was struggling with all the luggage on the back, so again he very kindly said, look, tell you what, Steve, he says, what we'll do is, he says, we'll strap your luggage onto the back of my bike. So like I said, he's got a KTM 1119, he'd got like a rear tubular framework system for bags. I don't know whether that's standard on the KTM 1190 or not, but anyway, yeah, thankfully he'd got all this, he'd got the facilities to strap me luggage on, so we managed to do that. So that reduced a bit of awkwardness off the back end of the bike, and then we carried on going. Periodically he'd go ahead of me a little bit. I'll come back to you in a minute. I'll just get through these lights. I wonder if anybody recognises this junction. This is where Squires is, just down the road. Off we go again. So yeah, he very kindly, as I said, banged my luggage on his bike, and he rode with me steady away, 5 to 10 miles an hour. Periodically he'd go ahead of me, maybe a few hundred yards, he'd stop, he'd have a cigarette, that type of thing, and just sort of chill out, because I understand it must have been very frustrating for him riding like that. And we did that until we got to the end of the trail, and I think it took well over an hour before I got back to the castle. And he filmed me on his phone just coming in. I was giving him a bit of a cheer out of success for managing to get back in one piece. There were certainly quite a few occasions when I could have dropped the bike, because it was quite weird, you know. I mean, having a tyre that was so flat on the back, I mean, obviously the danger as well of the tyre actually coming off the rim, but thankfully it didn't, because somebody once told me a long time ago that if that ever happens and you've got some cable ties on you, which I had, cable tie your tyre to your wheel and it'll just help to keep it in place. So that's what I did, and it appeared to work. Yeah, so anyway, having finally managed to get back to the end of Kielder Forest Drive and back to the castle, unfortunately I'd got no phone signal there, so I had to use the phone of a member of staff, because he was connected to the Wi-Fi. So I managed to get in touch with the RAC on the phone, gave them my location, etc., and they said that they would notify me as soon as they got the job allocated out, give me an ETA when somebody would come. So I thought, well, fair enough, it's going to be an hour or so, I can live with that. So I finished off having a bit of a chat and a drink with Kevin, and then he disappeared, because obviously at the end of the day it's his day out, he wanted to enjoy his ride, can't blame him for that. And then this member of staff from Kielder Castle says to me, he says, oh, I've just had an update via text from RAC for you. They said they'll be here at 8:30. I'm thinking, surely that can't be right, 8:30? I says, it's only 3:30 now. I says, it's been 5 hours. I says, crying out loud. So he showed me a text, and I just thought, friggin' hell. Oh well, not a lot I can do about that. So I just had to sit there and twiddle my thumbs for 5 hours, walking around, keeping warm. There were some toilets opposite, thankfully, some public toilets, so if I needed a wee or anything I could go there, but there's no shop or anything like that, so you've just got to sort of suck it up and accept it. I did have a look at the bike while I was waiting, just to find out what the issue was, why the tyre had gone down so flat as quickly as it had, and it transpired that what I'd done was I'd actually ripped the valve off the tube. So the tube had obviously slipped within the inside of the tyre, and as a consequence of doing so, just literally ripped the valve clean off, and that's why the tyre had gone down as quickly as it had. So even if I'd have been able to get the tyre off and use a puncture repair kit, it would have been useless, obviously, and I didn't have a spare tube with me. So that's a lesson to learn. I suppose you learn these things as you go along. It's one of life's little things, isn't it? Right, I shall take a right at these lights onto the A656. So yeah, I just sat there, twiddled my thumbs for 5 hours basically, and eventually the RAC guy did come. It wasn't, well, I say the RAC guy, it wasn't the actual RAC themselves. They used what's called one of their trusted agents from one of the local recovery companies up that neck of the woods, or local garages. So we got the bike on, and he then said to me, he says, right, he says, should have you at Weatherby Services, he said, for about 11:20. So I says, Weatherby Services, are you not taking me home? So he says, oh no, he says, we're only allowed to go as a certain distance from our base. So he says, we use Weatherby Services as like an RV point, a drop-off point if you like, you know, and then somebody else will pick you up. He says, but don't worry about it. He says, I've organised it all from home. He says, before I got the job, I told them what time I'd be there with you, so they'll have somebody, will RSC, they'll have somebody there waiting for you. So not ideal, but I thought, well, fair enough. But I did Google map it and just see the Weatherby Services from my home address. You're looking at 20 miles, give or take. So in hindsight, it's a shame that he couldn't have taken me that little bit further. It would have saved me a lot of time. But yeah, sure enough, we got to Weatherby Services, 11:20, no sign of the of another vehicle to take me the next leg of the journey. So I tried to ring the RAC, no answer, and I kept persevering, trying to get through to the RAC control room, and it took me until I think it was about 5 past midnight. So by that point, I've been broken down in excess of 9 hours. But yeah, just after midnight, I managed to get through, spoke to somebody, told them reg number, etc. They brought the job up, and they said, oh yeah, we're aware of you, but we've nobody available to pick you up at the moment. So I said, well, what do you mean you've nobody available? I said, you've known about this job for the last 9 or 10 hours now. Surely you should have had somebody earmarked for it. Oh, it don't work like that, don't work like that. So we'll get somebody to you when we can. So I said, well, what do you mean when you can? I mean, am I going to be here for half an hour? Am I going to be here for an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours? What's the crack? Well, we'll get somebody to you as soon as we can. So I thought, bloody hell, you know. But again, you're at their mercy. There's nothing you can do about it. So again, freezing cold, early hours of morning, sat down, and then about 1 o'clock in the morning, my phone rang, and it was the driver from the next recovery company. This chap, can't remember the name of the firm, but anyway, he was coming out from the other side of Keighley, so it was easily going to be a good hour, an hour and a half maybe. So you know, whatever time it could have been, I don't know, coming up I don't know, 2:45ish or something. This chap arrives, very nice, very helpful. We got the bike on the back of his truck, and he then got me home, and I finally arrived home at something like 4 o'clock, maybe 20 past 4 in the morning, which was that will have been 13 hours, yeah, 13 hours after I first rung, as near as damn it 13 hours anyway, after I first rung the RAC, and probably about 14 hours after my puncture. So yeah, bloody hell, what a night that was, or what a day and a night. I was absolutely shattered. But yeah, I was quite surprised. I mean, I've used, I can't remember whether it was the AA or the RAC years and years ago, when I've had issues with my car. I mean, I am talking years and years ago, but I definitely haven't used any sort of recovery breakdown service like that in recent times, and it was a bit of an eye-opener for me. I didn't know for a start off that they used sort of trusted partners as frequently as they seem to do. It seems to be commonplace now where they don't use their own vehicles. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was my experience, or that has been my experience since when I've looked into it. But yeah, what an ordeal. I did ring the RAC to sort of get some sort of explanation as to why they didn't take me the extra 20 miles. Nothing to do with tachos or anything like that, because this guy, by his own admission, he didn't have a tacho in his cab. It was literally just sort of a rule that they had from the company he worked for, that they weren't allowed to take you, I think it was more than 170 miles or something from their depot. So Just struck unlucky on that one, I think. But yeah, poor state of affairs, I think, as far as recovery service is concerned. But yeah, the point of this video really is just to sort of emphasise the helpfulness, the friendliness, and the sincerity that bikers offer other bikers in their time of need when they're in a bit of a sticky situation. Didn't know this guy Kevin from Adam. You know, he potentially spoilt his entire day and disrupted it for nothing other than just helping a fellow biker out. And Kevin, all I can say is, I know I thanked you on the day profusely, but all I can say is, if you ever do see this video, all I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart is thank you very much for sticking with me, carrying my luggage, helping me out, and making sure I got back to the end of the trail nice and safe. So if you've ever had anything like that before, you've broken down and other bikers have come to your assistance or anything of that nature, let me know in the comments down below. Excuse me, if you've any similar stories in regards to any sort of breakdown recovery, be it the RAC, the AA or Green Flag or whoever else offers that sort of service, again let me know, because there's certainly no way I'm going to be renewing my policy with the RAC after the appalling service that they provided. So if you've any recommendations as to decent recovery agents for cars or bikes, again please leave a comment. I will be very, very grateful indeed. Right, can I get out before this bus? Easy, easy, easy. So, not exactly a rant. That's more of a bit of a rant, maybe a little rant at the RAC. But mostly the purpose of this video, like I say, is just to say thank you to anybody that's willing to help a biker in their time of need. So thanks very much for watching, folks. That is all for now. I'm going to make my way home. What time is it now? 1:30. Sat nav says I'll be home about 2:10. That's not too bad. Right, thanks for watching. Catch up with you all later. Ta-ta for now.